I love all of the seasons. When you're homesteading, whether on 1,000 acres or in your backyard, your world revolves around the seasons. The first half of summer for me is about keeping the garden and animals well hydrated. Harvesting the produce, pulling up the garlic, picking zucchinis as soon as they're ready, and harvesting berries. On my small homestead, I only get a limited amount of berries every day, but it adds up. I wash, prepare and freeze what we're not going to eat, so when I have enough I can preserve them for the winter. The muscovy ducks need fresh water in their pool more often in the summer, and it's the best time of year for the maggot bucket, so I move the bucket regularly to reveal the protein treats. Lemons need to be picked up twice a day to help prevent the fruit fly from getting in. Picking the ripe lemons before they fall is even better. Our poultry egg production has been coming in waves. I had many broody ducks that were stealing the freshly laid eggs, so I had to spend a few mornings removing the broody ducks from the coop to break the broody cycle. The eggs weren't fertile anyway. Now I'm getting the eggs again, and when my drake is mature enough, the ducks can hatch out some eggs. The Sussex chicks that hatched out in spring are growing nicely. The larder pantry is in constant action the first half of summer, so long as it's below 35 degrees Celsius, that's 95 Fahrenheit. When the temperature's above that, which it occasionally is at the start of summer, I can't really do much in the kitchen once it's that hot because we don't have air conditioning, so I have to make the most of the cooler weather, which is really not that cool for most people. So canning and baking has to be done while I still can, because the second half of summer, that won't be happening at all. I was gifted this beautiful mushroom compost, which is perfect to go straight on the garden bed where I harvested the garlic. I won't dig it in or disturb the soil, I just put it on top and sow some cucumber seeds straight into it. Keeping the incoming eggs in order is important so no eggs get spoiled. And once the garlic is cured, I cut the stems down and place it on my drying rack. I grow a few varieties of the hardneck garlics and they can last up to a year on this rack. I love dehydrating produce. The majority of the work is getting the food on the trays, and the machine does most of the work without much need for my attention. And while I've got the dehydrator going, I may as well have something in the slow cooker because I'll be passing through the kitchen to keep an eye on things every now and then, so I may as well have two things going instead of just the one. I'm making a bone broth, and while I'm making the bone broth, which will take a few days, it's a good opportunity to catch up on some correspondence. In the early morning when the lavender plants are dry, I harvest some flowers. Where I live, the plants are usually always dry in summer, unless I've just watered or it actually rains overnight. The oils are at their most concentrated in the morning, and the aroma of sweet lavender will stay with me for the rest of the day. I don't harvest all of my lavender plants in one morning. I take it slow over a few weeks and harvest half a plant at a time. Pacing myself is very important with CFS, and I have learnt it is better to do a little often than to do a lot at once and end up bedridden for days. Curry plant and rosemary also dry well when hung, and drying herbs makes the larder room smell more wonderful than usual. I tie my lavender with brown string into small bunches and hang it off sticks that are hanging from the walls. I have these scattered around my house. It's a good idea when bringing sticks into the house to freeze them in the freezer so that no creepy crawlies come out. I use herbs from my garden to make the melt and pour soaps. This one is rose petal and rosemary. Storing dehydrated fruit in containers with a tight seal is important for the food to stay good. I use old coffee jars. They have a plastic seal in the lid so my food can last for years, but we usually use it up in time for the next harvest. This beautiful wild rabbit is ready to process. Out of all the meats I process, wild rabbit is the easiest. Unless you include yabbies, they're easy too, but they are messier. I use at least 6 lemons a day, so I'm really blessed to have 2 lemon trees, especially that big one that came with the house. So to be able to have lemons all year around with hardly any lemons wasted, I have to regularly squeeze them when they're in season. The juice gets stored in glass jars and stored in the freezer. That's why I leave plenty of headspace. When liquid freezes, it expands, and I don't want my glass jars shattering when that happens. I can get a bottle out the night before when I want to use it and just keep it in the fridge until I've finished it. Making salves gets done when I need a certain herbal salve or when I'm getting low on my regular salve stock. This is rose petal and rosemary salve. It smells amazing and it's quite refreshing for the nose when applied on the lips, which I think is helpful when you have a cold. I also freeze orange juice into large cubes, which is perfect for the late autumn mulled wine. The orange peel is dehydrated for cooking and crafts, and on a hot day it only takes a few hours outside in the sun. The dehydrated orange slices, though, have to be done inside on an actual machine and take a lot longer, but they're worth it. I make up mulled jars, which are jars of dried orange slices, cinnamon, star anise, and cloves. With these ingredients, along with the orange juice, red wine and honey, I'm ready to make mulled wine on the first really cold day of autumn, which for now is a long way off. I still have the second half of summer to enjoy, and that's when summer gets really extreme.